right, we are back with some more Sink the Bismarck with me, Wolf190D. And maybe that was a little over the top. Anyway, um, for those of you on Twitch, I apologize. I did take, like, I don't know, a week off. Though on YouTube, there technically shouldn't be any kind of a miss in when this gets published. So anyway, see if I can't remember where I was at, where we were at, those of you that are joining along for the adventure. Let's see here. What do we have? And this time, actually, I think what I'm going to try to do, let me see here. What I'm going to try to do, because I think I had made a couple of really weird type of designs. Anyway, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to start, now that we are in the Dreadnought era, I'm going to go ahead and try to start making some, let me see here, some more traditional Dreadnought builds. And information actually is readily available on all these things. So let me see here. I think the first of the Dreadnoughts were the Nassaus. 5 pre-Dreadnoughts. That was the Deutschland class. So we have the Nassau class battleships. I'm going to try to build those here at some point. Historically, they were built between 1907 and 1910. So I might have been, I think I mentioned a little earlier, I was a little unsure. HMS Dreadnought was built in, or was launched in 1906. So, you know, the funny thing is that a lot of warships around the world, the pre-Dreadnought style ships that were launched after 1906, basically they were obsolete by the time they came into service. So, we are a little ahead of the curve. We've had the Dreadnoughts since when? Since 1900. Yeah, we've had the Dreadnoughts since about 1900 with the Prince Regent Luitpolds and then the Siegfrieds. We designed those a year later. All right. Now, let me see here. Where is our research? Do we have twin torpedo tubes yet? We do have twin tubes. Okay. So I can actually also start to modernize the destroyer fleet as well. Those guys cruise at 30 knots, which is actually pretty good. The V1s went from 28 to 30 knots. Okay. The V2s. And I'm going to try, let me see here. What were we researching? The steam turbines. We're getting steam turbines in 3 months, which is actually huge. Yes, yes. Steam turbines is a really big deal, especially if you're going to build more space-efficient destroyers. They don't have quite the range, but anyway. We are working on invading Gibraltar. We've got a 74% chance there. And what do we have down here? We still got these old archaic modern battleships. I know that's a really weird phrase, isn't it? Archaic modern battleship. Oh, good grief! And we are at war with Japan too. Okay. So we've got a fleet. I've kind of been neglecting the Asiatic fleets. But let me see here. So we've got a light cruiser and a couple destroyers. We've got 2 destroyers heading over to Darwin. Okay. All right. So I think there's going to be a couple of things we're going to want to work on as we progress through this particular war, and we do have an overage on our ships. So we've got the Siegfried. Let's go ahead and put a suspend on the one Siegfried for now. The Cormorants, I think the Cormorants are pretty much outclassed and outdated. There's 7.5-inch guns on them. Why did I arm them with 7.5. And then the big ones, I kind of did this a little backwards in retrospect. Anyway, it's better to arm the earliest cruisers with like 6.7s, at least as if you're playing as Germany. So anyway, let's go ahead and end this turn and see what happens next. We did take over. Looks like, is that Eastern England, and then there's Northeast England, and then there's Scotland. Wales successfully rebelled against the English. Let me see here. I hate having to do this. All right, anyway. Two transports in the South Atlantic and the West Indian Ocean. Okay, Sweden wants to order 2 of the V1 destroyers. They're going to pay a quarter in advance, and then it's a total profit of almost 80%. Do I want to go ahead? I mean, the destroyers don't take long, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And we have successfully gained Gibraltar. Sweden would like to buy the Blücher. Syria would like to buy the Cormoran. Now, there have been a couple of updates since then, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect the... They theoretically were minor, so... Let me see here. Where are my little... I got one of them at Kiel. No, those are heavy cruisers. I'm looking for my light cruisers that have been converted to mine-laying duty. Okay, so we've got one at Tsingtao, one in North Oceania. I guess I haven't. Have I? Lerwick and Le Havre, Helgoland, Cape Town. Ariadne, is that a light cruiser build? It sure is. Okay. Let's take the one out of Lerwick. And we're going to go plug him down into Gibraltar. Okay. And who are we at war with? Okay. Let's see. The Wittelsbach. And then we had these Kurfürst Friedrich, Kaiser Wilhelm II. Okay. I think the fleet that's over here right now is a Kurfürst. Where... Okay. I'm not sure why I withdrew him. Other than, you know what? I'm just going to put the... Oh, that's why the destroyers were... The destroyers were pretty badly banged up. Okay. So, let's see here. These guys all appear to be good to go. So, let's go ahead and bring these ships. We're going to start moving them back towards... Light cruiser and 2 destroyers, battleship. English Channel, okay. And this other fleet, these guys, we'll bring them to the Irish Sea. Okay. Now, those Siegfried battleships. Oh no, this fleet. This whole fleet. We can bring them back out. Yes, yes. Well, okay. Wait just a minute. What is going on here? So we got the Ager, the Terringons. I think one of the Terringons is still repairing, is it not? Oh, it's in Wilhelmshaven. Okay. The Beowulf. And then the München is a Ariadne, which I think the Königsberg is also an Ariadne. So what we can do is we can move these guys. Move all of them that we can. Do we have any spare destroyers anywhere? No. Okay. Actually, we do have a spare destroyer, but he's in battle right now. Okay. All right. Okay. There's that. And if you'll excuse me, folks, nature is calling, so I will be right back. Give me a moment, please. Thank you.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, so sorry about that, guys. I guess I picked a really bad time. Um, anyway, let's get this thing up. Let's get this thing going. We got some strikes. Portugal, mines, and Sweden. Wow. A nice little mix. Excuse me, nice little mixed fleet here going up against the HMS Glory of the Hannibal class. And that's the hood. Okay. It's funny, historically they did this on a couple of putting turrets, smaller turrets on top of the larger. They did it on a couple of ships, but it didn't really work out too well. So that was one of those things that it was a sort of a dead end way of building ships, as it were. Let's see here now. Actually, he can continue on that course. Oh no, and my destroyers are light on torpedoes, of course. Smoke. The old-fashioned way. I don't know about these Chinese ships and whatnot. destroyers have been raking his battleships pretty bad, haven't they? And there goes the V2. There goes the V5. This ship might prove a little bit much for this fleet. We'll have to see. There we go. Now you got it. And of course, because British battleships are extremely maneuverable. Is that my destroyer is only going to be able to travel about as fast as my cruisers. Actually, it's not my destroyer; it's a Swedish destroyer. So, definitely not going to go over so well. Push the engagement here. Where's the torpedoes? Let's go. How long does it take? Wow. There we go. Wow, that was Oh wow, that was cork. Okay. Anyway, I think is our torpedo propulsion long far enough? No, it's really not. Okay, we'll maybe. The V1s are armed with. The V21s are armed with triple 88s. Okay. What do we have for armor? We got Harvey armor. You know what? The engines can wait. I think. Yeah, the engine can wait. Okay. So let's pull up the ship designs. We're going to go ahead and I think we're going to try to do anyway is we're going to attempt. It's not 100%, but this is if you want to do historical builds. This is kind of how you go about doing it. So this is going to be the Nassau class, and the Nassaus were capable of 19 knots. So they actually overestimated us a little bit. The beam on the Nassaus is 88 feet 3 inches. So we got to go 88, 3. And do this, you kind of have to go down. Okay, so the beam is actually a little narrower. And I think it's like negative 1%. No, is it negative 1.1%? Negative 1.3%. Negative 1.5. Yeah, that's too much. Negative 1.4. Okay, so it looks like negative 1.3 is about the closest we're going to get to 88 feet 3 inches. The draft, on the other hand, was 28 foot 9. And the most we max this out, if we max it out, we're getting 26.4. All right, so that's our draft. That's that. Now the displacement at full load was 21,000 tons. So 21,000 tons. Okay. And the Germans built 4 of the Nassaus. All right. So here's what we're trying to do. That's a Deutschland. That's the Lord Nelson design. The Nassaus really honestly appeared to have one funnel. Was it really one funnel? Or was it a dual funnel? It is a dual. Okay. And you kind of have to eyeball it, what you sort of have to do is go through go through the records, what were the size of the ships and everything else. I think she had 11-inch guns, if I'm not mistaken. 28 centimeter 11L45. And as you can see, we've got 47. So actually, if anything, we're going to need to shorten the barrels on this ship when we get done. Okay, so triple expansion. We're going to go with the multiple expansion, the best multiple expansion engine that we can put on there. And we've got 2 different kinds of funnels. The foredeck tower, we don't really have to have anything terribly fancy here, but that's what we're going to put on it, is foredeck number 1. This is a first build. Okay. And then the funnels, this is going to be really odd, I think. Let me see here, 25. You get 25%, and if we put 2 funnels, that would be 50. 28. And then the other funnel, we'll just set that for the time being. And then the secondary tower, we'll go ahead and put on this advanced rear deck tower. This turret we can tuck in tight. Go tight with the 2 turrets. And then the Nassau, oh boy, if I remember right, it's going to have 12. So we need 2 side mount turrets. Now this is where these things get really interesting, especially if you're trying to build like a historically accurate type of setup. But first things first, let's go ahead and shorten these barrels. It was L45s, right? I did say L45s, yes. 45, or as they might also say, 45 caliber. Okay, so that's 46. That's 45. And that also is 45. So I think it's every 2% gives you what you want there. I'm gonna go with standard. Yeah, standard AP shells. Go standard ratio AP shells. Okay, now there we go. Come on, don't be scared now. This is where this gets really I don't know, kind of convoluted actually, because what you have to do here, is put these things out, and it gives it like these wingy wing sort of garbage. Right? I mean, come on, that just really they're gonna hang over like that. Come on, guys. Doesn't work for me. So, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to jimmy. We're gonna have to jimmy this a little bit. Natural boils. What if I put induced draft in there? Yeah, no, we don't really need to do that. I don't think. So what I'm gonna want to do, first of all, is I'm gonna take the beam. I'm gonna take the draft down, and put the beam back up. And that's just fiddle with the beam until kind of get it where we want it, because historical pictures of this do not show the turrets like overhanging the sides of the ship. So, and yes, it is a dual funnel. Wow, I can't believe I missed that. I was putting around with it some other time. So maybe it was a different main tower. I'm not entirely sure. Foredeck tower number 2. No, advanced foredeck tower. Could be the advanced foredeck tower. One of the advanced foredeck towers. Yeah, it might be that. Let's swap over to an advanced foredeck. There we go. That looks a little bit more. That looks a little bit more, shall we say, accurate. All right. I think another problem is that this isn't exactly the hull that the Nassaus were built on. So you don't have to do it like this. And quite frankly, other methods that I've done is basically stripping out this second funnel. But anyway, let me see here. If we go to 10, how does that look? That's more or less getting there. I mean, it'll cover for these, for sure. Go ahead and pop that off real quick, and we're gonna put that there. We go, just like that. Okay. Okay. Now, see, the problem is that we have to bump it out to get it away from the and it's really this funnel here that's kind of messing everything up. So let's go ahead and take that out. We're going to make this an induced draft ship. I mean, honestly, if you look at that's a long funnel number 2. If you look at a lot of the historical pictures, it looks like it just has a single funnel anyway. So whatever. Okay, we'll put that right there. Oh, now we got an aft offset problem. Put that funnel right there. Okay. Actually, what we can do is we can tighten this up just a little bit, I think, yes. Okay. So, and there again, if historical accuracy is kind of your thing, then this can kind of be a fun project. It can kind of be a fun project. Because then it's just like, hey, you know, I'm building it to I'm building it to spec, as it were. Okay, does that? Okay, we can do that, and then we can tighten this up by bringing these turrets back. Okay. And actually what we can do is we can slide that forward a little bit and then see about... Can we do that? Does that work? No. Though, hold on a second. I don't know, that gives us the same field of fire on all four of those. Right around there. So this is the hexagonal layout. It's kind of a classic hexagonal layout. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see here, 39, 35. But it's the maintenance that's going to skyrocket if I do that. So 145. So yeah, let's go with natural gas boilers, multiple expansion steam engines. And then we're going to go ahead and fit everything else out. So we're going to go with Harvey armor, even though the Nassaus utilized Krupp armor. I'm not going to put torpedo protection on it just yet. And oh wow, we bloated this thing, didn't we? If we go beam 10%, how about 9%? What happens if we trim it down a little bit? How about 8%? How about 7%? So much for you know, this was all how are we going to get it to fit? And this is how we get it to fit. It's exactly like this. All right. I'm going to put that funnel more central. And I mean, this gives you actually, you know, if you look at diagrams and whatnot, it actually gives you a pretty accurate feel. Reinforced bulkhead, flood one. We're going to go ahead and put a citadel on here, and we're going to bump the weight back down to 21,000. Good. It didn't shorten the ship up at all. We could even bring the draft down to 10%, and it's actually not going to let us down to 21,000, unless, let's see here, 5%. Yes. Okay, 21,000 tons. There's a decent enough mock-up of the SMS Nassau. All right, though we haven't completely outfitted it yet. So let's go ahead and run through. We've got TNT-1. Now here's where you get into some really interesting. You know, what do I want to do with my guns kind of stuff. How do I want my ship to be? And I haven't really gone over this before. I've just kind of been firing off from the hip, from memory, as it were. Though the Nassaus also did have, let me see here, what was it? It was 150 millimeter, 15 centimeter, 5.9 inch guns on casements. So we go 5.9, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the length all the way out on these. And we just go ahead and pack them in there. We got an aft offset. So let's go ahead and put what we were supposed to have, which I do believe we've got 12. and that's how many. That's how many they had. Now, the catch is going to be the required 16 88s. You're not going to get that on here. Um that's not going to happen. So we just can go. We work with what we can, and we fill out the 88s all over the superstructure. There's nowhere else to put these, and it's really honestly not an option to. I don't think anyway. I don't think it could be an option to stick these in on the deck anywhere because they would just get in the way of the main guns, and that sort of defeats the purpose of the all big gun ship. Armoring, if I remember right, let me see here. The main belt's going to be 11.8 inches. Okay. And then I think, let me see here, the armor tapers to some really weird numbers. Let's see here. 11.8 inches abreast the engine room. It tapered to 6.7 at the bottom edge, sorry. Toward the bow was reduced to 5.5 inches. So 5.5/4. We'll go with 5.5 inches at the front, at the forward belt. And then after the citadel, the belt reduced to 5 inches before terminating at a transverse bulkhead that was also 9 centimeters thick. So that's a little light, 5 inches at the aft end. Okay. The main armor deck was 1.5 inches thick at the central citadel. The slope portion, which sloped downwards to connect to the bottom edge of the belt. And the Germans were kind of notorious, maybe, for this. In the bow and stern sections, the deck was thickened to 2.2 inches. And it was actually 3.2 inches over the steering compartment. So the forward deck was 2.2, and we'll say what? What was it? It was 3.2 over the steering compartment. So it was an extra inch of steel over the stern end of the ship. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do to further balance this ship, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the rear armor up more to inspec here. So this is a historical build. You can toy with these as you see fit. Let's go with let's just go with 1/2 inch on the citadel. The top armor still isn't as important. It's not as imperative, I don't think. The forward conning tower had a roof that was 3.1 inches thick, and the sides were 30 centimeters thick, which 30 centimeters is what? What is 30 centimeters? Where's my unit converter? Oh, good grief. There we go. Let me see here. We're going to go from centimeters to inches. And we're going to say 30 centimeters. Wow, that's 11.8 inches. It's almost 12 inches. It's almost a foot. 11.8 inches. Now, where was that armor? That was on the citadel. So 11.8 on the citadel, the conning tower. And the superstructure, I'm going to go ahead and match the superstructure to the main deck. even though the superstructure tends to be a lot more vulnerable. So maybe we go with somewhere in between 2 inches on the superstructure. The guns, let's see here. Wow, let's see here. The top of the conning tower was the smaller gunnery control tower, which had a curved face that was 15.7 inches thick. That's pretty hefty. Aft conning tower was less well protected. Main battery turrets had 28 centimeter thick faces, 22 centimeter sides, and 26 centimeter rear plates. So let's see here. 28 is 11 inches. And 26 centimeters is 10 1/4, so we'll just say 11 inches of armor on the sides for the main guns. Their roofs consisted of 2 parts: a sloped front section that was 9 centimeters and a flat rear section that was 6.1 centimeters. I think 2.5 inches is sufficient. And then the barbette. I'm going to go ahead and max the barbette out because barbettes are very, very important. The 5.9s and 3-inch guns are going to receive the same 2 inches on the top. I'm going to max out their armor. Now, what do we want to give these guys for armament? Because the armament is where you can kind of do some interesting little things. So with gun cotton, these were our gun stats, all right? And we're going to stick with the white powder standard shell size for now. But I think at 10,000, I want to do a 10,000 meter engagement, and I want it to be actually 11.6 at 10,000 meters isn't bad. If we use picric acid, that drops us to 8.2. And if we take picric acid, but the thing about the picric acid is look at the difference in damage. All right. So the damage is 432 on the AP shells with gun cotton, 975 HE shells. And HE shells we're going to leave at the nose fuse because we just want those to cause lots and lots of fires. If we switch over to picric acid, we go to 663 damage and 1981 damage. 1982 may as well be for the HE shells. But our penetration goes way down. So what we can do, and we get 563 to 1981 with 10.2 inches of penetration at 10,000 meters. I don't think that's going to be enough. Unless we go up to the heavy shells, which is going to lower our rate of fire a little bit, but it does bring us back up to 11.3. But it's 0.8 rounds per minute. It's actually a lot more damage. Even if we go with picric acid, heavy shells, the damage is actually significant. It's, almost 200 more. Well, maybe not that much. Penetration's slightly better though. Now the other option, of course, and see, it's 0.82. Actually, the rate of fire is not terribly different, is it? Now the other option, of course, is if we use TNT. So we leave standard AP, we leave standard shell size, and we swap over to TNT. What do we get? We get the same penetration. Damage is not really significantly more than the gun cotton, is it? 6% damage. Let me see. 12%, 12.5% shell damage. It's actually a little bit more damage, but the TNT gets less HE shell damage. So what are we looking at with that? We're looking at 432 to 975 versus 452 to 788. As much as I don't like doing it, because the picric acid has more of a flash fire, it's really an unstable mixture. Let's try this out. This could be very interesting. The rate of fire is not much lower, so let's face it, it's not. And here's another thing. Do we want to start swapping over to stereoscopic? I think with these ships, if I recall correctly, I really do like to use the stereoscopic um, rangefinders because it's less interference from own guns, and it's also a better long range accuracy. So at 10,000 meters, we get 11.3 penetration on our armor piercing shells, just shy of 1 round per minute, which is doing pretty good for that time. And I mean, stop and consider on a full broadside, you get 8 barrels anyway. So, and for the most part, depending on the positioning of the ship, you can get 3 barrels or 3 turrets rather on an angle shot. So there is that. And we're still about 2,000 tons under spec. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to fiddle with the armor a little bit. I'm going to make some minor improvement. I'm going to go with 12-inch main belt, and let's go with 6-inch fore and aft. And now we've got a slight aft offset. So what we can do is, can we minimal? No, don't mess with the aft deck. We can mess with the forward belt though. The belt armor is what gives us that 0.2%. Now this is a lot more well balanced. You'll notice the engine efficiency isn't great. And again, if you really wanted to, you could remove, you could probably, not probably, you could remove one of these funnels. Or actually, here's what I will do. Because we are here, why not replace the big bulky funnel, since we're doing this anyway. Replace the big bulky funnel with the smaller funnels. Oh no, wait, because I'm not. That would only work if I was doing the induced draft boiler, and that's gonna jack the cost up quite a bit more, though. And see, that actually gives us a little bit more range of motion with the turrets. Seems like it did anyway. And that balances the ship out. So why not? Why not? Let's go ahead and induce draft. Use the induced draft boilers. You come in at 72 million for that ship. It's really only about 8 million more than the previous build. And look at how much more firepower we get out of it. All right, the conning tower I don't think is well armored enough at all. I'm just going to go ahead and bump it up to 16. The superstructure's good. The main belt, foredeck, aft deck. That's got us pretty darn well balanced. Actually, it's perfectly balanced. It's a perfectly balanced ship. Look at that. The beam and the draft are off, but still, there again, you can misrepresent things a little bit. But if you use it as a guideline, sometimes it's not a bad way to go. Using the historical reference points for a ship, and then I don't know, do you want to improve upon it? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't like that the barrels are shorter, but hey, what are you going to do? It actually, the shorter barrel actually does help to improve the rate of fire. So we've got that. We've got 6 11s or 12, well, 6 twin 11s, so 12 11-inch guns, 12 150 millimeter guns, and 10 88 millimeter 88 L34s, which seem a little short, but this is our tech level that we've got. So that's why it's really, really hard to match to the historical build. But nonetheless, this should prove to be quite effective, right? So we're going to save that design. And she pushes 19 knots, which is a little slower than the last two that we've built, but that's okay. The reduced engine size is allowing, and we could actually speed this thing up. We could do a refit later, but remember the full load is your target. Whatever you get to that, if you come in under that, that's also fine, right? So anyway, that is a Nassau build, right? And again, I had to jimmy the numbers pretty bad actually, um, in order for it to fit the general design scheme, right? And so there again, it could be because this wasn't the hull type, as it were, that the Nassau itself was built on, but nonetheless, that will work for that, all right? Um, let's see about some destroyers. Let's see about another destroyer build. Though we don't have the turbines yet, so that could be problematic. That could prove some, or at least pose, excuse me, some really interesting problems. So let's go with a -6. What's the speed on those guys? 30. What's the cap of the speed on the hull here? 32.8. So let's go with 32 knots. Um, maximum bulkhead, maximum crew quarter. Okay. And I want to see about 1,000 tons. Up, we can't build 1,000-ton destroyers just yet. All right. Well, we're gonna rock with what destroyers we got so far. We'll keep using the ones that we have. We've got twin tubes though, so that's gonna be actually a kind of a significant upgrade for our destroyer fleet, because it's going to allow us to effectively double our firepower. However, the thing that I don't like about that is that uh, it does uh, have a really negative effect on the build speeds. So let's go into ship designs. We're going to build another Siegfried. We're going to build one more Siegfried. Okay. Let's go ahead and take him off of suspension. All right. And we've got about 48,000 tons to play with on our shipyard capacity. We're going to launch him in Emden. And then the Nassaus. Now, if you want to get really cute, if you want to get really cute with these, you can go ahead and build 4 of these, because there were historically 4 ships. All right, so you have the Nassau. You have let me see here. Let's go back to the top of that page. You had the Nassau, the Rhineland, the Posen, and the Westfalen. All right, so let me see here, the Rhineland, Posen, and Westfalen. All right. GIN, Rhineland, Posen, and the Westfalen. The Rhineland, Posen, and Westfalen. So the Nassau, let's see here, was laid down at the Kaiserliche Werft in Wilhelmshaven. So the Nassau was built in Wilhelmshaven. The Rhineland Laid down in June 1907. It doesn't say where, does it? Da, 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 da. Hmm. Actually, I modify because apparently the Nassaus use triple expansion. Um, so it doesn't say. It doesn't say where. The Rhineland. We'll come back to Rhineland. Nassau was laid down in Kiel. Okay. Posen rather. Posen was laid down in Kiel. And the Westfalen was laid down at A.G. Wesser in Bremen. So Westfalen was laid down in, I did say Bremen, right? Yeah. Westfalen was laid down in Bremen. That's weird. The Rhineland doesn't say where she was laid down. So why don't we just put her with we'll put her in Wilhelmshaven with the other one because Wilhelmshaven is a really big port. Okay, so let's suspend the Rhineland. Wow, is that can I really build 3 of them? No. And we'll also put a hold on uh, uh, Westfalen. Oops. Oh boy, I made that's my bad, guys. Boy. Cowboy coffee puts hair on your chest. For those of you that don't know, cowboy coffee is when you put the grinds directly in a pot of water and stick it on the stovetop. All right, we'll go ahead and suspend the Westfalen as well. There we go. We've got 2 of them coming out in 16 months, and then we'll have to stagger the other 2. So that's what we get for, going off of the historical track. But hey, we're in the middle of a war, and we got the British on the ropes, perhaps. But I do need to get my ships over to Japan. All right. Anyway, these are the Zaringans. And don't I have another Zaringen somewhere? Where did I put the Zaringen? There it is. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on with that? Did I? That's really weird. And actually, I also made a mistake. Some of the pre-dreadnought 2 classes, I think, of the pre-dreadnought battleships for the Germans. First of all, there were 5 ships apiece, but also they utilized 9.4-inch guns. 3 centerline mounts. We are working on 2 superimposed guns, but that's not going to do us any good until we can get 4 centerline guns. Well, unless you superimposed one in a cluster around a couple of side-by-sides, that would be really weird. That would be really odd. Anyway, Mark III 9-inch guns are coming up soon. What do we have for cruisers? 22 knots on the Kaiser and Augusta. Okay, that's going to work for that. The Princess Wilhelm. That's why I went down to the 6.7s on this guy, because they came out Mark IIs. Those are obsolete. And let's take a look at our destroyer fleet real quick. How are we doing on destroyers? V-21. All V-21s. Those guys are all, those are S-1s. Let's go ahead and even though 15 crewmen, it's, it would take like a dozen of those to put enough crew. One of my destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pillau and Wilhelmshaven. Okay. Okay. What we really need to do, I think, is push torpedo propulsion. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next turn. All right. Oh, sorry, I hadn't had my, oh, good grief. 1001 historias. Sorry about that. All right. Anyway, give me a moment. I'm going to actually, it's a good time to go ahead and take a break. And I'll be back. Give me about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. And for those of you on YouTube, you'll have to tune in next time for the next episode of Sink the Bismarck. All right. Anyway, this is Wolf 190D signing off.